Good morning to all. Today's class is a continuation of the yesterday's discussion. Yesterday we discussed about the autograft under the heading of harvested bone graft and graft substitute. Today we will discuss allograft and other substitute of bone graft. Allogenic bone graft. The limitations associated with the procurement of autograft for bone grafting can be overcome by the use of allograft. The allograft has both the osteoinductive, that is, they release the bone morphogenic protein that act on the cells, and osteoconductive properties, but lack osteogenic properties because of the absence of the viable cells. The advantages of allogenic bone grafts are ready availability in various shapes and size, avoidance of the need to sacrifice host structure, and no donor site morbidity. The indication for allografts are packing cavities left after benign tumor excision or traumatic defect, bridges or blocks for arthrodesis of spine or osteotomy, packing a cage for spinal fusion surgeries, partial cortical defect, post-traumatic or after tumor excision, full segment defect like those after tumor excision, osteoarticular segment replacement after tumor excision, intercalary struts for arthrodesis as in the knee or shoulder, and correction of the deformity or packing cavities in revision joint replacement, online strut grafting for periprosthetic fractures. These are the indications for allograft. The complications are infection, non-union, and fracture. The allogenic bone is available in many forms. They are demineralized bone matrix, morcellized or cancellous chips, corticocancellous and cortical graft, and osteochondral and whole bone segments. Next, we will discuss that about the demineralized bone matrix. It is produced by the acidic extraction of the bone matrix from the allograft. And this process removes the minerals and leaves the collagenous and non-collagenous structure and proteins. The properties are osteoconductive without structural support, minimally osteoinductive despite preservation of the osteoinductive molecules. This is the photograph of a demineralized bone matrix. The advantages are it acts as suitable carrier for autologous bone marrow. It does not evoke any appreciable local foreign body immunogenic reaction as the antigenic surface structure of the bone is destroyed during the demineralization. The disadvantages are because it is allergenic material, there is the potential to transmit human immunodeficiency virus. Another possible limitation of demineralized bone matrix is that different batches may have different potencies because of the wide variety of donors used to support the graft. Next bone substitute is bone graft substitute is growth factor. Fracture healing like all tissue healing processes that result from injury and acute inflammation, and it is orchestrated by the chemical mediators. The process is complex with several protein factors, including the inhibiting cell differentiation and new bone growth occurred. All mediators utilizes the membrane receptors and act through cell signaling pathways that induce either cell or differentiation or induce upregulation of expression of bone components such as collagen from differentiated osteoblast. The chemical mediators identified are members of the transforming growth factor beta. Transforming growth factor beta is the superfamily. It includes bone morphogenic proteins and BMP subclass of growth factors 1 to 10, inhibins, activins, nodal related genes, and glial derived neurotropic factor. Then acidic and basic fibroblast growth factor, platelet derived growth factor, and insulin type growth factor. Next, we discuss about the bone morphogenic proteins. Because of their role in osteoblast differentiation, growth, and activation, a multitude of preclinical research has focused on the relevance of recombinant version of this growth factor. Recombinant bone morphogenic protein 2 and BMP7 are FDA approved for application in long bones and spines. In a systematic review and analysis of randomized control trial by Garrison et al., the clinical effectiveness of bone morphogenic protein for the treatment of spinal fusions and healing of fracture was compared with the current standard of care. The review found that there was evidence that BMP2 is more effective than autogenous bone graft for radiographic fusion in patients with a single level degenerative disc disease. Coming to fibroblast growth factor. Fibroblast growth factors compose another family of growth factor involved in wound healing and repair. Specifically, they act on both stem and differentiated cell, causing changes in migration, proliferation, further differentiation, morphology, and function. There are 9 known members of this protein family, all of which share 30 to 50% sequence homology. And FGF1 and 2 also termed as acidic FGF and basic FGF. This is named for their difference in the isoelectric points. They are the prototypic and most studied members of the family. Human recombinant forms of FGF applied exogenously to fractures demonstrated increased differentiation among the mesenchymal stem cells into chondroprogenital cells and increased callus volume and density. Radomski et al. Have experimented extensively with this hyaluronate gel as a potential carrier. And the viscous gel formulation is used in direct percutaneous injection into the fresh fractures, effectively releasing FGF in a slow releasing manner. These studies demonstrated increased callus size, periosteal reaction, vascularity, and cellularity. Single local injections and continuous slow infusion of FGF have also demonstrated increased cytokine-induced bone formation and accelerated fracture recovery when compared to the non-treated control. Low doses, that is 15 nanogram per implant of fibroblast growth factor, have been found to induce the number of chondrocytes and bone formation, whereas the high doses greatly inhibit the cartilage and bone formation. However, it is not known if the high doses of FGF inhibit collagen and bone synthesis through increased prostaglandin expression. Next growth factor is transforming growth factor beta. Data to support the concept that exogenous TGF beta can stimulate bone repair is substantial, but the overall osteoinductive capacity of the TGF is weak compared to the bone morphogenic proteins. This TGF may potentiate the osteoinductive activities of the bone morphogenic proteins, and this may be an important role for this factor. 3 isoforms of TGF exist in mammalian species, although it appears all 3 act on the similar receptors. The most concentrated isoform is TGF type 1, which is stored in platelet granules. The TGF type 1 is has a critical role in soft tissue and fracture repair. Next growth factor, platelet-derived growth factor. It has been shown to have stimulatory effect on the bone and cartilage cell proliferation. However, its role in fracture healing is not clearly understood. The active receptors for PDGF are composed of 2 separate subunits, alpha and beta. PDGF alpha chain was found to be expressed by many cell types over a prolonged period during fracture healing. These cells include the endothelial mesenchymal cells, the granulation tissue in the osteoblast, chondroblast site, and osteoclast later during the fracture healing. Because of the PDGF increasingly important role in bone regeneration and remodeling, a group has begun experimenting with the platelet-rich plasma and platelet-poor plasma. Both are rich in PDGF, TGF, and as possible bone graft materials. Synthetic graft materials treated with PRP, that is protein-rich plasma, and PPP, that is platelet pure plasma, extract demonstrated a greater trabecular bone density than with bone control graft without the extract. The next bone substitute is bone graft substitute is cell-based bone graft. That includes the stem cell. Stem cell is an immature or undifferentiated cell which is capable of producing any identical daughter cells. The main sources of the stem cell include somatic and embryonic stem cells. The somatic stem cells include hematopoietic stem cells, bone marrow stromal stem cells, neural stem cells, and dermal stem cells. And the best options are those derived from the bone marrow, which yield two types: the hematopoietic stem cell, which give rise to the entire blood lineage, and the mesenchymal stem cells, from which are derived various connective tissue such as bone and adipose tissue. The success of the success has been restricted by problems of the dosage, lack of full activity of the recombinant factors, and the inability to sustain the presence of the factor for an appropriate length of time. Coming to collagen. Collagen is an osteoinductive material used in combination with osteoconductive carriers like hydroxyapatite or tricalcium phosphate. Chapman et al. Conducted a prospective randomized comparison of autologous iliacrus bone graft and calcium collagen graft material in the treatment of acute long bone fractures with both bone grafting and internal or external fixation. The authors observed that there is no difference between the two groups with regard to the union rate or functional measures, and they concluded that the calcium collagen graft material with autologous bone marrow can be used instead of autologous bone graft for patients who are acute traumatic defect of a long bone. There is no scientific proof that calcium collagen graft material can effectively substitute for autologous bone graft to stimulate healing of non-union. It is not recommended to fill metaphyseal bone defect resulting from articular fractures, as it does not offer structural support. Next is the gene therapy. Gene therapy involves the transfer of genetic information to the cells. The gene therapy used for gene induction is short-term and as regional therapy. The gene can be introduced directly of specific anatomic site, that is in vivo technique, or specific cells can be harvested from the patient, expanded, genetically manipulated, and tissue culture, and then reimplanted. This is called the ex vivo technique. Viral and non-viral vectors can be used for the delivery of this genetic material into the cell. Non-viral gene transfer systems such as liposome, naked DNA are usually easier to produce and have a lower toxicity and immunogenicity, but the efficiency of their gene delivery is imposed by a low rate of infection. Recently, viral gene vectors including retrovirus, adenovirus, adeno-associated virus, and herpes virus are more efficient method of gene transfer. Next, we move on to the ceramic-based bone graft substitute. Among the different ceramics-based bone substitute material, calcium phosphate-based ceramics such as hydroxyapatite, beta-tricalcium phosphate, and bioactive glass are used quite substantially for a long time. First, we discuss about the calcium hydroxyapatite. It is a biocompatible ceramic produced through a high temperature reaction and is highly crystalline form of calcium phosphate. The normal composition of this mixture is calcium phosphate OH twice with a calcium to phosphate anatomic ratio is 1.67. The most unique property of this material is chemical similarity with the mineralized face of the bone. This similarity accounts for their osteoconductive potential and excellent biocompatibility. Hydroxyapatite has a synthetic material, usually used as a coating for dental and orthopedic implants, are known for its good cytocompatibility properties, but it is limited in use due to its moderate low solubility within the body and mechanical properties that differ from surrounding tissue and bone. The plasma spray coating has been used on metallic femoral stem and cup as a means of fixation in order to avoid complications related to the use of PMI. And hydroxyapatite coated pins enhance pin fixation regardless of the bone type and loading conditions, and reduces the rate of infection and loosening during the external fixation. Next is tricalcium phosphate. Like hydroxyapatite, TCP is bioabsorbable and biocompatible. The chemical composition and crystallinity of the material are similar to those of the mineral phase of the bone. It exists either as a alpha or beta crystalline forms. The rate of biodegradation is higher when compared to the hydroxyapatite. Recombinant human bone morphogenic protein, that is BMP2 with beta TCP, is a promising composite having osteogenicity and efficient enough for repairing large bone defects. Next is about the bioactive glasses. Bioactive glass ceramics were first developed by Hens et al. It is biocompatible, osteoconductive, and bonds to bone without an intervening fibrous connective tissue interface. This material has been widely used for filling bone defects alone and in combination with autogenous and allogenic cancerous bone graft. The bioglass is composed mainly of silica, sodium oxide, calcium oxide, and phosphates. And it is clinically used for as filling material for reconstruction of defect in facial bones, for treatment of periodontal bone defect, in repairing orbital floor fractures, in lumbar fusion, and for reconstruction of the iliac crest defect after bone graft harvesting. Next is calcium phosphate cement. The paste or injectable calcium phosphate cement offers the advantage of being freely moldable and adaptable to bone defect. The combination of high biocompatibility, easy to shape characteristic, and the capacity to self-setting under ambient conditions make it an asset in the repair of hard tissue defect. Based on its flow behavior before setting of slurry, has been used as an injectable biomaterial for bone replacement, especially in the percutaneous vertebroplasty and kyphoplasty. The calcium sulfate graft material with a patented crystalline structure described as a alpha hemihydrate acts primarily as osteoconductive bone void filler that completely resorbs as newly formed bone, remodels and restores anatomic features and structural properties. The potential application of calcium sulfate graft material includes the filling of cyst, bone cavities, benign bone lesions, and segmental bone defect, expansion of graft used for spinal fusion, and filling of bone graft harvest site. It is biocompatible, bioactive, and resorbed after 12 weeks. Significant loss of its mechanical properties occurs upon its degradation. Therefore, it is a questionable choice for load-bearing applications. Next is polymer-based bone graft substitute. There are two types, natural and synthetic, each divided into degradable and non-degradable. Example, Helos by Depu Orthopedics is a natural polymer-based product, a polymer ceramic composite consisting of collagen fibers coated with hydroxyapatite and indicated for spinal fusions. The miscellaneous bone graft substitute. First one is coral. The Chirov et al. First observed that corals from marine invertebrates have skeletons with a structure similar to both cortical and cancerous bone with interconnecting porosity. So, coralline hydroapatite is processed by a hydrothermal exchange method that converts the coral calcium phosphate to crystalline hydroxyapatite with a pore diameter between the 200 to 500 and in a structure very similar to that of human tubercular bone. Bushorts et al. Reported that the clinical performance of autologous cancellous bone graft and coralline hydroxyapatite is similar during filling of bone voids resulting from articular surface depression in tibial plateau fractures. More recently, coralline hydroxyapatite has been used as a carrier for some bone-derived growth factors. The coralline hydroxyapatite granules or blocks of various size, depending on the size of the defect, can be used to fill the metaphyseal defect after reduction of the depressed articular segments. Coralline hydroxyapatite bone graft substitute appears to be a clinically effective material for use in food procedures, although the slow absorption is a concerning characteristic of the graft material without any adverse effect. Another contraindication to the use of this material is a joint surface defect that would allow the graft material to migrate into the joint. The next one is chitosan and sponge skeleton. Chitosan, a natural product derived from the polysaccharide chitin, an abundantly available natural biopolymer found in the exoskeletons of crustacea like shrimps, crabs, lobster, and other shellfish, would be an effective material to repair bone defect due to its biocompatibility. In an experimental study, natural hydroxyapatite or chitosan composite were evaluated in reconstruction of bone defects and observed that this composite has good biocompatibility and osteoconduction. This is continuation of the yesterday's discussion. First is reamer aspirator irrigator. It provides a large volume of bone graft from the intramedullary source. The femur is the most common, and the tibia is the another source. Possible iatrogenic complications are femoral shaft fractures due to eccentric reaming and insertion site pain. That is on the hip adductors. These are the clinical images of the procedure of bone marrow aspiration. And also Wolf Kawamoto technique. Wolf and Kawamoto reported a method of taking full thickness bone from the anterior ilium, and the iliac crest is split off obliquely, medially and laterally, so that the edges of the crest may be reapproximated. Bone has been excised. This technique is used in children to preserve the physis. This is the photograph showing the Wolf Kawamoto technique of taking iliac bone graft. The figure A and B, the outer edges of the iliac crest are split off obliquely with the retention of the muscular and periosteal attachments. And C and D shows the closure of the wound after taking the bone graft. Thank you.
Tony, I would like to clarify one thing. Yesterday we were discussing about different types of bone grafts, and they could be either autograft, allograft, xenograft, or heterograft, or bone substitutes. So bone substitutes does not come under heterografts. Bone substitutes are usually artificial bone or something that mimics the properties of the bone. What are the components of extracellular matrix of a normal bone?
Sir, peptidoglycan, water.
That can be divided into organic and inorganic components. So organic components include type 1 collagen. Non-organic matrix comes, what comes under non-organic component of extracellular matrix?
Sir, calcium phosphate.
It is hydroxyapatite. It is C8N PO46OH2. That is hydroxyapatite. So that is why you were telling that a synthetic material, hydroxyapatite, is mimicking the properties of the normal bone. So that is why you should know what is hydroxyapatite. It is the normal component of a bone. In general, calcium phosphate is more stronger more stronger in compression when compared to other different bond substitutes. We have got calcium sulfate, coralline, all these things are having less stronger mechanical properties when compared to calcium phosphate. So that is why they are not absorbed.
Could you keep that slide once again? Keep it there. You have shown about up to A, B, C, D, E, F, right? I would ask Dr. Kishore to mention one important material and one important product. No, go back to that slide, please, Tony. 51, slide 51, which you were showing recently. Right, keep it there. The first one is harvested bone graft and graft substitute. That is the gold standard. As and when you can afford to get enough graft, and that is enough for a particular procedure, that is perhaps the best. But when you are doing something like spinal fusion or a traumatic bone loss due to a fracture or whatever, or you are doing a surgery for a large defect of a tumor which is being removed, has to be filled up, then you may have to add so many other things subsequently. But regarding the next one, growth factor based bone graft substitute, tell us one which is easily available with us and its important property. And like that, you may go all the way up to miscellaneous polymer based and miscellaneous one. Because at the end of the day, it's a large topic, but at least the candidate or the student must remember one item at least from that and its important function. So we will be showing some paper.
Okay. We'll start from A. The harvested bone grafts are generally mosselized bone. You have shown some powder-like bone in one of your pictures. So they are actually mosselized allografts. So they are harvested from other people, and sometimes 2 or 3 people's bone may be there. They are processed, antigen will be removed, and they are converted into a powder-like substance. So it is generally considered as a bone substitute because most of the properties of the bone might have gone by your processing. Then the graft substitutes are in general hydroxyapatite or calcium phosphate. So you have got hydroxyapatite is a complex calcium phosphate. There is another simpler calcium phosphate. So these two substances are available. Hydroxyapatite is generally marketed as G bond. That is easily available. Calcium phosphate is generally coming with a paste form for injecting into the cavities or into the spine. They are having different properties. Sometimes some are more liquid, especially if you want to inject into a vertebra. It will be more thicker when you are injecting into fill a cavity. So these are the first A group substances. The growth factor based graft substitutes are generally BMP2 and BMP7. So they are highly costly cutting edge substances. They are available, but they are cutting edge substances. The use is limited to mainly 2 indications. One is a non-union of the tibia. BMP2 is FDA approved. BMP7, I think it is available for spine. I think I cannot remember that offhand. So
spine fusion,
yes. So BMP4 also, I think it is available. I don't know the exact use of BMP4. These are the bone morphogenic proteins which are available commercially, not necessarily in Thrissur. It may be available in some other place. Then we have got ceramics and the polymers. Ceramics are in general silica. Then we have got polymer-based absorbable and non-absorbable bone substitutes. I don't know the commercial names of these things. Miscellaneous are generally taken from sea animals or something which is having the properties similar to that of a normal bone. For them also, I don't know any commercial products. Practical applications are mainly for G bond and the calcium phosphate. that is mainly for trauma purpose. It is mainly for the just articular fractures for filling the cavities because the metaphysis will be collapsed. So when you elevate, there will be a large gap. That gap has to be filled with something. Whether that will be converted into normal bone or not, that is debatable. But we will be elevating the joint surface, and you will be getting a better articular surface, and that will be supported by a extracellular matrix, which is which may not be converted into normal bond, but that is immaterial. And
Kishore,
also for sir.
you remember the one where we put a block of material on the lateral tibial condyle, which
Yes, sir.
which was actually remaining like that for many years, almost 2 years it has been remaining like that. But one thing I noticed, around that block, the other trabeculae are getting strengthened. So even if my point here is, given that particular block, which was used as a hydroxyapatite, I mean, it was actually used as a block, not as crystals. Isn't it? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Blocks
Yes,
are
sir.
usually used.
They were blocked.
You see
Oh,
to
yeah.
apply.
So the adjoining trabeculae over a period of time become thicker and thicker and is supporting the articular surface. Even though the graft per se is not getting absorbed, the neighboring trabeculae are becoming stronger. Thereby, it is affording the support or offering the support to the articular surface. So in some way, it helps. It doesn't. I fully agree that it doesn't get absorbed and incorporated into the bone, but it probably allows the other part of the bone to become stronger because weight probably naturally goes through that area and it is supported. So it actually acts as a filler. It supports the temporarily the articular surface when you want to elevate it, and subsequently the other areas are slowly becoming done. I think you follow that patient for some more time, then you will be able to
I had
demonstrate.
a very long follow-up of one patient,
Yeah.
which actually is from Iron place, Pavloti. And she, at the age of say 6 or 7, it's about 20 years back. There was a defect, and I filled with the G-bond was coming at that time, and filled that. In fact, that remained like that. Moreover, the adjacent growth plate was possibly, is it due to my surgery or due to the G-bond? We don't know. It will become retarded, and her finger is. I saw her when she became 20 or so. Her finger is very short. That is the long-term situation. Maybe G-bond, whether they G-bond to be played or I had to be played, I don't know. Anyway, there was no growth after that. It just caused some defect.
Another interesting topic is tantalum, trabecular bone. That question is also asked for theory sometimes. I think 2 or 3 years back it was asked. Whether they come under the bone graft, I don't know. They have got the properties similar. They are supposed to get incorporated into the normal bone. That is especially used for after core decompression. We can use trabecular bone. Is having more strength. I don't know the complete details. I don't remember, but that is a usual question for theory for recent advances. Tony, you should know the normal composition of bond, cortical bond, cancellous bond. That is the very basis upon which all these things are built upon. So the bond has got cells and extracellular matrix. Cells are 5 or 6 types. Then we have got the extracellular matrix, which is either organic or inorganic. Organic is less when compared to inorganic. Organic component is mainly type 1 collagen for bond because bond ends with ONE, so type 1 collagen. Then we have got the extracellular matrix. Extracellular matrix is mainly hydroxyapatite.
അതിനാണ് ആ പെത്തോളജി സ്ലൈഡിലൊക്കെ കാണിക്കുന്നത് ബോൺ ടിഷ്യൂ to get an understanding of the basics of the normal tissues. But that will help us to study more and understand these topics. Of course, definitely it will be one of the subtopic might be asked as a short note or a small essay in the examination. It is impossible to remember everything, but at least try to remember one particular product which may be available in your community or at some point in future, so that we can use it. I don't want to add anything more. Dr. Dominic, do you want to add anything? You are probably going to deal with large bone defects because of the
Yeah.
tumor you might remove. But you will be at some point will be very happy and gratified if there is something which you can use it as a filler, and then subsequently can be called into, incorporated into the bone. Anything coming up in your oncology discussion?
I told yesterday, we have got the facility to do the extracorporeal radiated bone, which we are using now for more than 10 cases now. So that is a good source of bone, which definitely it's a dead bone. It's once it is irradiated, there will not be any living cells left. So they are giving it such a dose that it is just a shell of bone, dead bone, or graft. So that is how we manage this. And definitely allografts, if it is available, it is well and good. And as I said earlier, in some webinar which I attended last week, they are because the computer navigation and what is ആ മോഡൽ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നില്ലേ കഴിഞ്ഞ ജൂലിക്കാരാണ് കാണിച്ചത് എന്താ പറയാ ബോൾ മോഡൽസ് അല്ല എന്താ പറഞ്ഞു പുതിയ ലേറ്റസ്റ്റ്
3D
പ്രിന്റിങ് വെച്ചിട്ട് അത് കറക്റ്റ് ചെയ്ത് കട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വെക്കാം. ഈ 3D പ്രിന്റിങ്ങിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് തന്നെ അവർ ജിഗ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അതന്നെ അതിനുള്ള ജിഗ് അതങ്ങനെ വെച്ച് ഫിക്സ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ സുഖമായിട്ട് അതിലൂടെ കട്ട് ചെയ്യാം. ജിഗും 3D പ്രിന്റിങ്ങിന്റെ ഭാഗമാണ്. അങ്ങനെ ഭയങ്കര രസകരമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ കണ്ടു. പക്ഷെ അതൊക്കെ എത്രത്തോളം അപ്പൊ അതിനൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് ടിഷ്യൂ ബാങ്കിങ് വേണം. ടിഷ്യൂ ബാങ്കിങ് വേണമെങ്കിൽ അലോഗ്രാഫ്സ് വേണം. അതൊക്കെ പല സ്ഥലങ്ങളിലും ഉണ്ട്. പിന്നെ അതിനോടത്തോളം മൈവാനത്തെ അടയാളോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മദ്രാസിലുണ്ടെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. അതിനോട് വെരി ഷുവർ. പക്ഷെ നമ്മളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിപ്പോ ഇത് ഈ രണ്ടെണ്ണമാണ് നമ്മൾ റൊട്ടീനായി ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്. എക്സ്ട്രാ റേഡിയേറ്റഡ് ബോൺ and the allografts that is kept in our research room under minus 40 degree. What we do is we keep it in either and send it there, and we take the oldest one. ഏറ്റവും ആദ്യം നമ്പർ ഡേറ്റ് വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിഞ്ഞാല് നമുക്കത് കൊടുന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് പൊടിച്ച് നല്ലോണം വിൽ ബി വാഷിംഗ് thoroughly and so that all the organic materials to some extent will be gone, and will be autoclaving it. Autoclaving is not definitely will have some littoral defect on strength, I know, but still that is safer. That is how we are using it. That's all.
Another question, how will we process the bond? So there is something called AAA graft. That was a question I studied during my PG days. I can't remember that. It was there in the Campbell at that time. I don't know whether it is present now or I don't know. That is a fancy question used to ask at that time. The bond under the bond bank, this is an important thing. What is the function of the bond bank? It has to convert the bond into a histocompatible, safe bond. So apart from storing it, they have to process it.
And I have visited the Tata's bone bank. അന്ന് ഞാൻ അവിടെ കുറച്ച് നാള് ഒബ്സർവ് ആയിട്ട് നിന്നപ്പോഴേ എന്നെ കാര്യമായിട്ട് കൊണ്ട് കാണിക്കുകയൊക്കെ ചെയ്തു. വലിയൊരു സെറ്റപ്പാണ് അത്. അത് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. അവർക്ക് എത്രത്തോളം അത് കിട്ടുന്നതെന്ന് അറിയില്ല. നമുക്കൊരു ഇതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഓർഗൻ ഡൊണേഷൻ പോലെ തന്നെയല്ലേ, നമ്മൾ ഹാർട്ടൊക്കെ എടുക്കണ പോലെ തന്നെയല്ലേ അതിന്റെ പ്രൊസീജിയർ എന്ന് ഞാൻ വിചാരിക്കണേ അല്ലേ? അതങ്ങനെ വഴി അല്ലേ?
ഓർഗൻ ഡൊണേഷൻ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ വരുന്നത് ബോൺ ബാങ്ക്.
അന്ന് ലിജോനെ കാണിച്ചിരുന്നു. അത് അന്നത്തെ
അത് അവിടെ ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു 2 ചെറിയ റൂമിന്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ മാത്രമാണ് ബോൺ ബാങ്ക്. അവര് അവിടെ മെയിൻ ആയിട്ട് ആംപുട്ടേഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ ലിംബിന്റെ ബോൺ പ്രിസർവ് ചെയ്യും.
അങ്ങനെയുള്ളൂ അല്ലേ?
പിന്നെ ആംനിയോട്ടിക് മെംബ്രെയിൻ പ്രിസർവ് ചെയ്യും. അത്
ശരി.
സ്കിൻ ഗ്രാഫ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിക്കാനായിട്ട്
ഓ
മെയിനായിട്ട്.
അന്ന് തുടങ്ങിയ കാലമൊന്നുമില്ല, വലിയ enthusiastic ആയിട്ട് എനിക്ക് കാണിച്ചത് വലിയൊരു സെറ്റപ്പ് ആയിട്ടൊക്കെ. നിങ്ങൾ അതിന്റെ വലിയ പ്രാധാന്യം കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടാവില്ലായിരിക്കുന്നത്.
അവരാകെ ഫ്രസ്ട്രേറ്റഡ് ആയിരുന്നു അന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾ ക്ലാസ് എടുത്തപ്പോ. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആകെ 2 റൂമുള്ളൂ, ഞങ്ങൾ കുറെ ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്.
കാരണം ആദ്യത്തെ enthusiasm പോയിണ്ടാവും, കാരണം അത് അത്ര യൂസ്ഫുൾ ആവുന്നുണ്ടാവില്ല.
Okay then. Bye bye.